We have all kinds of rumors and news to talk about heading into the NHL draft this evening. We have the top 6 players announced for the Four Nation FaceOff teams. We have some signings to discuss, a buyout in Philadelphia. We have some UFA rumors involving some top players like Steven Stamkos, Nikita Zadorov, plus some trade talk around teams like Toronto, Florida, Carolina, Calgary, New Jersey, Vancouver, and a whole lot more coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have tons of news and rumors to take a look at here heading into the draft this evening. Of course, as I record this video, the NHL draft is just a little over 4 hours away from the beginning of round 1, and we've already had some activity today. We had a trade between the Habs and the LA Kings, with the Habs moving up again in the first round of swap of picks. That is on the channel in a separate video if you want to get full details there. Let's get into a few news items, and we'll get into all the latest rumors. We got some signings today. Utah has signed defenseman Michael Kesselring. He gets a 2-year contract of $1.4 million. Pretty reasonable deal for him. Dallas has signed veteran defender Alex Petrovic, a 2-year, 2-way deal. He did end up seeing some time in the playoffs for them, but a good depth piece for them who's been there for a little while now. And the Oilers have signed Cam Dineen. He also gets a 2-year, 2-way contract. For the Four Nation Face-Off, the top 6 players were announced for Canada, USA, Finland, and Sweden, since there are the 4 teams participating. Team Canada has announced Sidney Crosby, Nathan McKinnon, Connor McDavid, Brad Marchand, Braden Point, and Cale Makar. The only one there that's mildly surprising for me is Brad Marchand. Not that I think he'll be there. I fully suspected he would be. I just thought he wouldn't be a given and be a top 6 confirmed player right off the bat, but he does have a lot of history with Hockey Canada. Has played in other big tournaments, so from that perspective, I get it. It's just obviously his plays declined a little bit, but either way, a very good experienced leader there for the team. The United States today confirmed Austin Matthews, Jack Eichel, and Matthew Tkachuk in the forward group, and Charlie McAvoy, Adam Fox, and Quinn Hughes in the back end. The Finland team has confirmed goalie Jussi Saros, defenseman Esa Lindell, and Miro Heiskanen from both the pair from Dallas, and then Alexander Barkov, captain and Stanley Cup champion of the Panthers, Mikko Rantanen, and Sebastian Aho. The Swedes have confirmed defenseman Victor Hedman and Erik Karlsson, and as well as Gustav Forsling as well. I'm surprised Gustav Forsling got the nod over Rasmus Dahlin. Dahlin, I fully suspect, will be there as well. Philip Forsberg, William Nylander, and Mika Zibanejad also confirmed for Team Sweden. So some top names there. A couple of mild surprises, but nothing too crazy. So we'll see the rest of their rosters into the fall once after the NHL season gets underway. The Philadelphia Flyers today have confirmed they're buying out the final year of the contract of veteran forward Cam Atkinson. There was believed that they had a trade lined up to send him to the San Jose Sharks, but he did have a no trade clause and blocked the trade. So Atkinson did not have a no move, so he's technically on unconditional waivers. The buyout won't be official till tomorrow. If players have a full no move clause, then they can they don't have to be put on waivers because they're not really eligible. They can waive to go on it, but it's not necessary. The buyout can just be just happen immediately. So that's what happened with Ryan Suter yesterday. I'm surprised we don't have more players, but I imagine we'll see more tomorrow. Teams are still kind of, I think, jockeying here in negotiations, trying to make trades and whatnot, but Atkinson didn't want to budge on the no trade, so he becomes a UFA. So be curious to see what happens with him next year. Lots of rumors. The rumors are just running rampant right now. I have a video out earlier talking about all the latest draft rumors, but a lot of that was around trades that can involve draft picks or, some draft picks that can be traded for players, that kind of stuff. And it's just gone up even more wild. Some of this other stuff we're hearing now is some of it's involving the draft, but some of it is not. We'll kind of trickle into the kind of coming days ahead here. In Toronto, it's believed that Tyler Bertuzzi, yesterday we were saying it wasn't looking good. He might be heading to market. Today they're saying that Bertuzzi is very motivated to stay in Toronto and would likely try to work out a deal to stay. Take a little bit less on the dollar side on the AAV if it means he can get a little bit more term. So I think it sounds like he'll take the term over the money. So we'll see if they can work something out there. Toronto, again, still very much linked to a few goaltenders and Brossois and Stolars in free agency. They are still actively trying to move Timothy Liljegren. That's still ongoing. Domi is still in the mix right now. There's a chance Bertuzzi and Domi both make it to the market of UFA in this on July 1. But with Domi, it's believed it's going to be a 4x4 contract to get it done if they want to go there. We don't know where things stand in that sense. No further updates right now on Mitch Marner, but like I said, we've talked about it enough that it's believed that they are preparing a bunch of offers, scouring the market to see where things stand before they consider going to him to ask him to waive, and we'll see how that works out. A big UFA rumor, Steven Stamkos, very, very likely to make it to the market as a UFA on Monday. Right now, there's word from his agent and Julian Breezeball, the GM of the Lightning, both saying that they've had recent discussions again as late as yesterday, and they still cannot come to an agreement. We have not seen the Lightning make any trades freeing up money, which is what I expected. I thought we'd see something, whether it be Tanner Jeannot, Connor Sherry, a depth piece of some kind to free up at least a few extra million to try to increase what they can offer for Stammer, and it has not happened. It doesn't mean it won't happen today. We could still see trades tonight at the draft or even tomorrow before free agency gets underway on Monday, but right now it does look like the odds are he's going to the market. His agent Don Meehan put out a statement saying that they have not had productive enough discussions to come to an agreement, and that he will be testing free agency. So a lot of rumors running rampant around Steven Stamkos, where he's going to end up, who are the teams that are going to want to talk to him. I would suspect quite a few. He's still a very productive player, good leader, great resume. A lot of people think Detroit. I've seen some people say back to Toronto. Of course, the only way Toronto could even consider it is if they move Marner. Obviously, it's, Toronto would be a homecoming for him, but he did turn it down before. He had an opportunity to leave the Lightning and end up signing on the contract, which is expiring now. At the same time, the Lightning are expected to announce a long-term extension for Victor Hedman on July 1st. They've had some productive conversations, and obviously another big piece there, one of Stamkos' best friends. I'm sure this is going to be killing him to hear that contract's all done up for Hedman, but yet he's the captain. He's got all these team records, been there for his whole career, first overall pick, and they can't seem to find a way to look after him, which is mind-boggling. I don't understand it myself. But we'll see what happens here. But right now, indications are he's probably going to be a free agent, and teams can talk to him. So we'll see. Besides Detroit and Toronto, they seem to be the ones getting the most attention. I wouldn't rule out Nashville. I think the Predators definitely want to add a big name scorer. And if they can get one for free, then I think they would very much like to speak to him. So we'll see. There's going to be lots of other teams too. It's kind of hard to gauge right now what the likelihood of him leaving or where he ends up, because I think right now they're probably going to see one last push to keep him. And I guess we'll see if that does happen and if it works out or not. Lots of rumors floating around, according to Elliot Friedman, that the Nashville Predators are going to be signing a long-term lucrative extension with goalie UC Saros, which is surprising a lot of people. A lot of people didn't think it was going to happen because Saros was asking for too much money. And the combination of that and the fact that they have Yaroslav Askarov waiting in the wings here for a chance at a full-time NHL job. He was drafted pretty highly in the first round, came over from Russia, put in his dues in the American League for a couple of years. Yes, his last round of playoffs was not great, but he's got 2 really good regular seasons under his belt, and many people consider him NHL ready at the very least, and maybe not as a full-time starter 1A, but like a tandem, or at very least a solid backup who can give you 30 games, something along those lines. And right now the belief is that the Predators would like for him to stay in the minors a little bit longer, and they're also, not only are they going to sign Saros to an extension, but they're still trying to sort out a more experienced backup goalie too. The extension for Saros is believed to be 8 years. It was rumored he was looking for $8 million. Sounds like it's going to be 7.74. And yes, the 7.4 matches his jersey number, which is kind of stupid, but a lot of players seem to do that. Now, Askarov did have an Instagram post as well, and it had a caption on it saying that everything happens for a reason. So I kind of wonder if he's going to be looking for a trade. So with this Saros extension looming, Wouldn't be shocking if the Preds do move Askarov. I know they're going to get calls on him for sure. Just a matter if they pull the trigger or what happens. But look for that to be an interesting storyline here in the next little while as well. In Florida, as I mentioned, I think I touched on it briefly last night in the last video, but Aaron Ekblad, former first overall pick, longtime Panther, alternate captain, now Stanley Cup champion, is being shopped as well. He's got 1 year left, $7 million and change on his contract. He does have a no move, but it's changing to a modified no trade on July 1. So it's quite likely they're going to have a lot more flexibility to move him here in a couple of days. So there is a lot of people saying that his name is out there. It's in the rumor mill. They're gauging the market, if you will. They have a ton of free agents. They're trying to keep who they are prioritizing. If they move Ekblad, then maybe there's a chance they can sign Brandon Montour. Otherwise, Brandon Montour very, very likely makes it to market, gets a huge raise, and leaves. That's, I think, very easy to see coming, unless they do move Ekblad, and then maybe Montour can stay. I'm not sure. Maybe that's kind of where Zito is leaning towards, is maybe he'd prefer to keep Montour, and if he can sign him and move Ekblad, that might be the preferred path here. But yeah, Ekblad's name is out there, so we'll see if the Panthers are. We know Zito's not afraid to be aggressive and ruthless at the same time. So we'll see. I know when it comes to Sam Reinhart, very interesting pending UFA. Elliot Friedman's 32 Thoughts podcast, he said he thinks they're going to get it done, and he thinks that Reinhart will have a similar contract, basically around what Matthew Tkachuk's making, a $9 to $9.5 million. Frank Saravalli on his podcast, he was saying that if that was the case, if it's going to be like $9 million or 9.5 or anything under Tkachuk or Barkov, don't you think it would already be done? Wouldn't you think the Panthers have already offered him 8 years at $9 million? I mean, all indications are Reinhart 100% wants to stay. And they do have the no state tax advantage. But there are other states that have that advantage too. I do wonder. I mean, personally, I still think it gets done. I think he still most likely does stay. But it does seem funny that if it's going to be 8 times 9, that why wouldn't it have been done already? You think that would have been before the regular season was even up, that Zito and his agent would have been having those discussions and gotten it done. So we'll see. There's a lot of smoke around the number 4 overall pick in the draft tonight, which is currently held by the Columbus Blue Jackets. New GM Don Waddell certainly looking to make a splash. All kinds of chatter around that pick. There was a big push from the Philadelphia Flyers to move up in the draft. They really want to target a specific player, and they were having a lot of discussions with Columbus around that cost to move up. Right now, it looks like that is dead and is not going to happen. Philly's not willing to pay the price that the Jackets would insist on to make that happen. However, Friedman believes that there's another team in there, and it sounds like it's the Carolina Hurricanes, and that we could see a big trade that involves a number 4 overall pick and maybe even Marty Necas as well. So we know that Columbus has been one of the teams that's been around Necas. Would they offer a number 4 pick for Necas? Could there be more involved in that? It's hard to say when it comes to Columbus and Patrick Laine, because he's a name out there that's expected to move. To clarify how things work with him, because he technically, as of right now, have not been released from the player assistance program. The rules around that are that he can be traded while he's in the program, but teams cannot speak directly to him. So if the team wanted to speak to him first and kind of gauge where everything is at with him personally, see how he feels about coming to their team, any of those things, they won't be able to do that. But he can be traded. However, they can speak to his agent or representative. So I do think that with all that in mind, there is a good or better possibility that Laine could be moved sooner than we think, even though he technically hasn't been released from that program. So, I mean, Carolina would make a lot of sense for Laine. Is there any? It would have to be a massive trade. If Waddell tried to package number 4 and Laine together, it would have to be more than Necas coming back. I'm not really sure what could all be included there. So either way, it doesn't mean that those are going to be the exact pieces, but Carolina is around it, and Necas is supposedly involved. We know he's likely getting dealt, so that could be something that we see as well. So stay tuned there. We'll see what happens. The Vancouver Canucks are reporting that Nikita Zadorov will indeed hit the market and likely isn't going to be back in Vancouver. Patrick Allred, the GM, confirmed that they've been negotiating and have not been able to come to terms, and that he's going to test the market. He said they've done all they can, and they have been unable to reach an agreement, so he's heading to market and won't return. So that's not good news for Vancouver. With the Mikheyev contract going out the door, I really thought they'd prioritize Zadorov. Instead, they prioritized Tyler Myers and Joshua. Joshua, I get. Myers, I don't. I would have signed Zadorov first, but that's me. I think that's an unforced error, in my opinion. If you're concerned about losing all that size on the back end, why wouldn't you pick Zadorov first? That doesn't make any sense to me. But he's likely not going back. So he will have a lot of interest. Lots of teams will be around Zadorov for sure. New Jersey's also trying to move John Marino. Good player, good right shot, puck-moving defenseman. It's believed that they're going to be the primary suitors for Brett Pesce, who's UFA, likely leaving the Carolina Hurricanes. So Pesce will come in, and they'll need to make room for him by moving Marino. So stay tuned there. That's something that we're going to see. Dave Pagnotta is reporting that the Calgary Flames are kind of nothing's imminent. They haven't asked him to waive his no-trade clause. But Nazem Kadri's name is out there in the rumor mill. It's on the market. They are kind of gauging, I guess you could say, interest and what the market would see, trying to determine a value here. It's not 100% given that Kadri does move, but we've seen him basically move out, everything here. So it's not a full teardown, but it's pretty close in Calgary. And obviously, I'm sure his old teams like Toronto and Colorado would love to have him back. That would be very difficult to pull off, mind you. I know in the Avalanche, they could move Ross Colton, which is something they've been wanting to do. But that's not about necessarily bringing in another guy like Kadri. That's about keeping some existing players, even like a Duran, for example. So, again, the Avs would be in very tough to make that happen. So would Toronto. If Toronto trade at Marner, well, that'd be a different story. But we've seen Toronto try to trade with Calgary, and they can't get anywhere without having to overpay drastically. So I'm not sure that's going to happen, but Kadri is out there for sure. Doesn't mean it's going to lead to a trade, but they're gauging interest, they're gauging what the value would be, and trying to see. Teams are definitely interested. From what we heard, that Craig Conroy is getting some calls on him. But again, like I said, it's complicated. Doesn't mean for sure that it's going to happen and that he's going to get moved. But there's lots of talk that it's out there, and it could. So we'll see. There could be lots more stuff pop up here as well, so certainly stay tuned. I might be back with some other trade videos, maybe back with some other rumor videos. I don't know. It's a very, very busy news cycle here, so stay tuned. There will be definitely more content coming on the channel here tonight around the draft and the other trades or anything that we see here tonight. I'll be recapping the first round of the draft later this evening as well, so stay tuned for lots more today. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around so you don't miss anything. Leave your comments down below on what you think is going to happen so we can have a good conversation about it in the comment section, and I'll catch you next time.